In the early 13th century, the Khwarezmian Empire, once mighty and prosperous, faced the unstoppable Mongol Horde, a force of disciplined horsemen and archers who spread terror across continents, and in a remote desert, a single fortress stood with only 1,000 defenders, soldiers, farmers, and artisans who had taken up arms, knowing behind them lay ruin and ahead awaited annihilation. Yet they chose defiance over surrender, sharpening swords, repairing armor, stocking arrows, and reinforcing walls, while their commander, a battle-hardened veteran, instilled in them that courage is measured not by survival, but by the willingness to stand against impossible odds. And as the Mongols appeared on the horizon, a sea of riders darkening the sky with dust and banners, the defenders took their positions, ready for the inevitable, as the enemy circled, probed points, fired volleys of arrows to test them. Yet the defenders answered with equal ferocity, stones crashing down, arrows returning, and boiling oil poured upon attackers, holding their ground through the first night, rationing water and food, tending wounds, and whispering prayers, knowing time favored the enemy, but courage did not acquire hope. And as the Mongols brought siege engines, catapults hurled massive boulders that shook the fortress, yet walls held, each crack met with human resolve. The horde escalated pressure, executing prisoners to break morale, yet the defenders did not waver. Fear held no sway. When ladders and battering rams struck the walls, hand-to-hand combat erupted, steel clashing, men falling and rising again, blood mixing with dust, each street, each corner a battlefield. And though numbers dwindled, the defenders fought on, every man knowing the hour might be his last. And when the gates finally gave way, the Mongols surged in, fire spreading, chaos erupting. Yet the remaining defenders gathered in the inner courtyard, fewer than 100, wounded and exhausted, their eyes meeting their commanders, who raised his sword one final time, and with a unified cry, they charged. A storm of defiance against inevitability. And when the battle ended, silence fell, smoke rising. The bodies of the defenders scattered as testament to their sacrifice. And though the fortress fell, and the empire could not recover, the courage of those 1,000 men endured. For history remembers not only victors, but also those who chose honor over survival, fighting not to win, but to refuse erasure. And as the sun rose over ruins, casting shadows across the battlefield, it illuminated bravery, brighter than fires, a legacy of defiance. Proof that courage can echo longer than conquest, resistance can outlast empire, and in that lonely fortress, surrounded by enemies, 1,000 defenders proved that while empires fall, the human spirit forged in war is immortal. Their story, living on whispered through the ages, carried in hearts who understand true valor, is measured not by survival, but by willingness to face the impossible. And in refusing to yield, they attained immortality not in life, but in legend. Every arrow, every stone, every life sacrificed, adding to the fortress's legend, a monument of human spirit. Generations hearing of men who stared into annihilation and chose defiance. Their courage becoming a symbol that even when empires crumble and the world bends to violence, the human will to resist and fight with honor cannot be destroyed. And the sun rose over ruins, illuminating devastation and bravery. The light. It showed that the fortress may fall, walls crumble, 1,000 perish. But legacy endures, proving courage echoes farther than conquest, defiance louder than victory, and a single spark of resistance can burn eternal, carrying the story of men who fought not to win, but to refuse to be forgotten. And in that refusal, they found immortality, not in life, but in legend, their tale remaining proof that courage echoes longer than empires, that defiance and certain death carries resonance even history cannot erase, that in desert walls of a lone fortress, 1,000 defenders stood against the Mongol Horde, not for glory, not for survival, not for empire, but for affirmation of human will against impossible odds. And in that affirmation they achieved immortality, living on in memory and legend, and echoes of stories told of bravery, resistance, and enduring human spirit, proving even when the world falls, courage stands unyielding, eternal, unconquered. And that is the tale of the 1,000 defenders of Khwarezmian fortress who faced an empire of death and refused to bow, leaving behind a legacy stronger than stone, louder than conquest, and enduring beyond the passage of time.